All right, get ready because today we're diving deep into Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Ooh, excellent choice. Definitely one of the most intense stories in the series.
It really is. And we've got a ton of excerpts from listeners that we're going to explore today.
Should be fun. I'm excited to see what everyone picked out as their favorites.
Me too. Prisoner of Azkaban really shifts the tone of the whole series, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. It gets so much darker right from the start.
Right. Like from the very first chapter, there's this feeling of suspense and danger.
Yeah, the way Sirius Black's escape is revealed is just chilling.
It's like first you see him on the news and then suddenly everyone's whispering about him.
And nobody really knows what he's capable of. That's what makes it so scary.
Totally. You never know who to trust. It's like even Hogwarts doesn't feel completely safe anymore.
And then you bring in the Dementors guarding the school.
Oh my gosh, the Dementors, they're just pure nightmare fuel.
Seriously, they're not your average prison guards, that's for sure.
They're like these soul-sucking creatures that feed on happiness and leave you with nothing but despair.
And the way they affect Harry, it's truly disturbing.
It goes way beyond just fear, right? He's reliving his worst memories, feeling all that pain again.
I think that's what makes Prisoner of Azkaban so different. It really digs into Harry's past trauma and how it shapes him.
It's like his past isn't just backstory, it's this constant weight he carries with him.
It makes you wonder, is there a connection between his vulnerability to the Dementors and the whole mystery surrounding Sirius Black?
It's almost like they represent that darkness he's carrying inside.
Exactly. They embody everything he's fighting against, both internally and externally.
And speaking of facing challenges, let's talk about Hagrid.
Ah, poor Hagrid. He really goes through it in this book.
First, with Buckbeak the Hippogriff, right?
Yeah, his whole situation is so heartbreaking. It really shows the prejudice in the wizarding world.
He's judged just because he loves these dangerous creatures.
And then Buckbeak gets condemned because of Malfoy's injury, even though it wasn't entirely Buckbeak's fault.
That trial scene is just gut-wrenching. You can feel Hagrid's despair.
It makes you question who the real monsters are, the ones who let fear and ignorance rule them.
Seriously, it's like even in a magical world, people can be so quick to judge.
A very powerful message, for sure. But hey, let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay, what did you have in mind?
Well, amidst all the darkness and danger, there's also some fun stuff in this book.
Oh yeah, like the Marauders map. That thing was so cool.
The Weasley twins giving that to Harry was a game changer.
I know, right? It's like his secret weapon, helping him sneak around and uncover secrets.
But it's more than just a mischievous tool. It's a symbol of the past, a connection to Harry's parents.
Especially with those names on it, right? Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs.
Those names hint at a whole hidden history, like a puzzle waiting to be solved.
And it makes you wonder about all the secrets Hogwarts must hold.
And then you have the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Professor Lupin.
Oh, Lupin. There's something so mysterious about him.
He's definitely one of the most intriguing characters. He's clearly a skilled wizard, especially with dark creatures.
But he's also got this melancholic side, like he's hiding something.
And the way he connects with Harry is so interesting, almost like a mentor or a father figure.
You know, he kind of reminds me of Sirius Black. You can't quite tell if he's good or bad.
That ambiguity is definitely intentional. It makes us question our own assumptions about good and evil.
And then, of course, everything comes to a head at the Shrieking Shack.
Oh man, that scene is intense. The whole truth about Sirius Black and Peter Pettigrew comes out.
Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
It completely changes how you see everything.
And the way it all unfolds in this creepy abandoned house, it's pure suspense.
Seriously. And that reveal about Pettigrew? Mind-blowing.
Right. He was Scabbers all along. The whole time, Harry's had the real betrayer right under his nose.
It makes you rethink everything you thought you knew.
And then, just when you think things can't get any crazier, J.K. Rowling throws in time travel.
Oh yeah, Hermione's time turner. That adds a whole new layer of complexity to everything.
Time travel in this book isn't just a cool gimmick. It really makes you think about choice and consequence.
Like, do we have free will, or are our lives already mapped out?
Heavy stuff. And as we dive deeper into the implications of time travel, things are about to get even more interesting.
I can't wait to see where this all goes, but we'll have to save that for the next part of our deep dive. All right, so we left off on this huge cliffhanger with Hermione and the time turner.
Yeah, that's definitely where things start to get really wild.
But before we get too deep into time travel, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about the Marauders map being like a puzzle box.
Oh, right. It's not just about seeing where people are, is it?
It's about uncovering the truth of the past, piece by piece.
It's like each secret passage, each name on the map adds another layer to the story.
And it makes you realize that the map is really a metaphor for how we understand history.
I like that. It's like those old family stories that suddenly take on new meaning as you get older.
Exactly. And think about that moment when the truth about Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs is revealed.
Oh man, that was such a great scene.
It's not just a plot twist, is it? It's like Harry is finally getting a glimpse into his parents' lives.
It really humanizes them, you know? Suddenly James Potter isn't just this legendary figure.
He's a mischievous teenager, running around Hogwarts with his friends, creating this magical map.
And it makes the betrayal by Peter Pettigrew all the more heartbreaking.
It really does. Here's this guy who was supposed to be a loyal friend, and he ends up causing so much pain.
It's a good reminder that even the people closest to us can have hidden depths.
And sometimes those depths are darker than we could ever imagine.
Yeah, betrayal is definitely a big theme in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, absolutely. We see it not just with Pettigrew, but also with Snape, and how he still resents James Potter.
And even the way Hagrid is treated, just because of his giant heritage.
It's like prejudice and mistrust can come from anywhere.
Even in a world that's supposed to be full of magic and wonder.
But then you have these incredibly strong friendships, like the one between Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Their loyalty to each other is so inspiring.
They go through so much together, but their bond only seems to get stronger.
They're willing to break rules, face danger, all to protect each other.
It's the kind of friendship that makes you believe in the power of true connection.
And you know, their friendship actually mirrors the bond between the Marauders.
Oh, that's a good point. It shows how powerful friendship can be, how it can last a lifetime.
Even across generations.
Okay, but speaking of complex relationships, let's talk about Sirius Black.
Oh, yeah, Sirius. What a character.
He goes from being public enemy number one to a potential father figure for Harry.
His whole story arc is just fascinating.
It really makes you think about guilt and innocence, and how things aren't always what they seem.
And the fact that he never gives up on Harry, even when he's on the run.
It's incredibly touching. You can tell how much he wants to be a part of Harry's life.
His escape from Azkaban is really symbolic, don't you think?
Oh, totally. It's about breaking free from the past, both literally and figuratively.
It's about second chances, about hope and redemption.
But it also raises some serious questions about the justice system in the wizarding world.
Right. I mean, Sirius was imprisoned without a trial based on false accusations?
It's a good reminder to always question authority and seek out the truth.
No matter how uncomfortable it might be.
And then there's Lupin, who's got this whole secret life as a werewolf.
Oh yeah, Lupin. He's another character who constantly challenges our perceptions.
On one hand, he's this amazing teacher who really understands Harry.
But on the other hand, he's terrified of people finding out his secret.
And the fact that he was one of the Marauders, friends with James Potter and Sirius Black,
it just adds another layer to the whole story, doesn't it?
it's like all these pieces of the past are coming together to form a more complete picture.
It really highlights how interconnected everything is.
And speaking of connections, we can't forget about Hermione's role in all this.
Oh, Hermione is the real MVP in this book.
She's the one who believes in Sirius when everyone else doubts him.
And she's the one who figures out how to use the time turner to save both Buckbeak and Sirius.
She's so brave, so smart, always thinking ahead.
She's the perfect example of someone who uses their knowledge to make a real difference.
And Ron, even though he's not always the brightest, he's incredibly loyal to his friends.
And he faces his fears head on, especially in that scene with the giant spiders.
He might not be a genius, but he's got a good heart, and he's always there for his friends.
They really do make a great team, the three of them.
You know, this deep dive is making me realize that Prisoner of Azkaban is about so much more than just magic and adventure.
It's about facing your fears, fighting for what you believe in, and the power of friendship.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
And we haven't even touched on the significance of the Shrieking Shack itself.
Oh, right. That creepy abandoned house where everything comes to a head.
It's a place that's shrouded in fear and mystery, but it also represents something else.
What do you mean?
Well, it's a place of pain, for sure, but it's also a place of healing and revelation.
Wow, I feel like we could talk about Prisoner of Azkaban for hours.
I know, right? There's so much to unpack.
We've covered so much ground already, but it still feels like we've only scratched the surface.
And that's the beauty of this book, isn't it? There's always something new to discover.
Definitely. But I think it's safe to say that Prisoner of Azkaban is a turning point in the series.
Oh, for sure. Things get so much darker and more complex from this point on.
You know, one of the things that really stuck with me is this whole idea of perception versus reality.
Yeah, that's a big one. The book constantly makes us question what we believe to be true,
It's like we're being tricked and misled at every turn.
which I think is J.K. Rowling's way of saying don't trust appearances, dig deeper.
Exactly. Like with Sirius Black, he's presented as this terrifying villain at first.
And then we slowly realize that he's been wrongfully accused, that he's actually the victim.
It's a huge shift in perspective.
And it forces us to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about him.
And it's not just Sirius. We see this theme of deception with Peter Pettigrew, too.
Oh yeah, he's a master manipulator, pretending to be weak and helpless.
And then there's Lupin, who's hiding this huge secret about being a werewolf.
It's like everyone has something to hide.
It makes you wonder if you can ever really know someone.
Maybe not completely, but I think the book is encouraging us to be more discerning, to look beyond the surface.
It's a good reminder to question our assumptions, both in the wizarding world and in our own lives.
And to remember that things are not always what they seem.
Absolutely. Another big theme we see throughout the book is the power of choice.
Yes. Even though Harry's destiny seems predetermined, he still makes choices that have real consequences.
Like when he decides to spare Peter Pettigrew's life.
Oh man, that was such a pivotal moment.
He could have easily given in to anger and revenge, but he chose mercy instead.
It shows how much he's grown, how he's starting to understand the weight of his actions.
It's a powerful message about forgiveness and breaking the cycle of violence.
And then you have Hermione, who chooses to use the time turner, even though it's incredibly risky.
She takes matters into her own hands, literally rewriting history.
Her actions highlight the importance of standing up for what you believe in, even when it's difficult.
And her determination to save both Buckbeak and Sirius shows her compassion and her sense of justice.
She refuses to let fear and prejudice dictate her actions.
She's such a strong character, such a good role model.
But amidst all this talk about choice and bravery, there's also this overwhelming sense of fear in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah, the Dementors really bring a whole new level of darkness to the story.
They're more than just prison guards. They're like these embodiments of despair and hopelessness.
And the way they affect Harry is just heartbreaking. It's like they're feeding on his trauma.
But even in the face of this overwhelming darkness, Harry finds a way to fight back.
He learns the Patronus charm, which requires him to focus on happy memories, on the good things in his life.
It's like a literal shield of light, pushing back the shadows.
And the fact that his Patronus takes the form of a stag, like his father's animagus form.
It suggests this deep connection to his family, to his legacy.
It's a beautiful reminder that we're never truly alone, that love can transcend even death.
And speaking of love, we can't forget about the importance of friendship in this book.
The bond between Harry, Ron, and Hermione is truly unbreakable.
They argue, they make mistakes, but they always have each other's backs.
They show us what it means to be true friends, to be there for each other no matter what.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Prisoner of Azkaban, what are some of the big takeaways we can glean from this story?
Well, for me, it's the reminder that life is full of challenges, both big and small.
But it's also about finding the strength to overcome those challenges, to never give up hope.
It's about learning to question our assumptions, to stand up for what we believe in, and to cherish the connections we have with others.
It's a story that teaches us about forgiveness, about the power of love and friendship, and about the importance of making choices that align with our values.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
And it leaves you feeling a little bit braver, a little bit more hopeful, and a little bit more connected to the magic that exists in all of us.
Beautifully said. And on that note, dear listener, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the magic of storytelling alive in your own life. Until next time.